In this Quixel Mixer tutorial for beginners, you will learn about painting in Quixel Mixer. The link to download Quixel Mixer is in the description. I'll change the albedo color of the plane to make it easier to see any of the painting that I do. I'm using the hex code 7F6547. The painting panel can be accessed by either adding a paint mask to a current layer, which can be done by right-clicking on a solid layer and choosing Add Paint Mask, or simply by adding a paint layer. At the top of the painting panel, you'll see two options, a brush option and an eraser option. You can either click on the icon or use the B key for the brush and the E key for the eraser. There are a few pre-installed brushes that come with Mixer, but you can also add your own. I'll show you an example of making and bringing in brushes into Mixer using GIMP, but this will work with any program where you can export a JPEG. The first step is to make a square image. In my case, I'm going to just make mine 300 by 300 pixels. And then make sure that you fill it with black. I then select a brush and change the size to 250. Then change the color to white and click once to add the brush to the black background. I then export the brush as a JPEG. Back in Mixer, I choose one of the brush presets. Under the brush shape section, I click on the left side option and clear the brush preset. I then click a second time on the left side of the option and open the saved brush. I change the albedo color and uncheck the other options. And then I can use the brush. If I want to save this brush, I can click on the Save Brush option under the brush presets. And if I want to delete the brush, I select the brush and click on the trash can to delete it. The brush settings are where you can change how the brush interacts with the mesh. The size changes the size of the brush. The angle changes the angle of the brush. Spacing changes the spacing in between brush strokes. Opacity changes the opacity of the brush. And flow controls the rate at which the brush paints. It acts similarly to opacity. The brush shape is where you can change even more parameters for the brush. You can load in a brush as I showed you earlier. You can change the softness of the brush, which varies the intensity of the brush. If I choose the hard round brush with the default softness, notice that the brush has an even intensity. But if I change the softness to a lower number, notice how the outer edge is much less intense. The center curve option controls the curve along the brush. If I lower the center curve, you can see that the brush becomes softer and a bit blurrier. base curve controls the curve along the mesh of the base. If I lower the base curve, the outer edge of the brush becomes larger. The brush jitter refers to the random behaviors of a brush. If I choose the square brush with a size of 15 and the jitter is turned off, you don't see any randomness to the brush stroke. If I change the jitter size, I can adjust the jitter effect of the brush. I can also change the angle jitter, which changes the jitter angle of the brush. I can also change the flow jitter, which adjusts the speed of the jitter effect. The colors section controls the albedo, metalness, and roughness of the brush. Albedo simply refers to the color. If I choose the diagonal square brush and change the albedo to a red color, I have a red color added to the brush. Metalness refers to how metallic the brush will look. Pure white is pure metallic. The roughness refers to how rough the brush will look. Black is glossy, and white is rough. There are some presets that you can use under the drop-down menu. The displacement option allows you to add displacement to the mesh using a brush. I'll use the square brush with a green color. I'll only use the albedo channel and the displacement channel. The first icon is used to raise the displacement. I'll change the strength to 30 and paint a straight line. This is done by holding down the Shift key. When I choose the perspective view, you can now see the raised area of the mesh. The second icon is used to lower the displacement. If I activate this option and draw another line, you can see the displacement is now digging into the mesh. The third icon is the Set Displacement option, which allows you to set a specific displacement amount. If you found this useful, please subscribe and turn on the notifications. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.